Here's something almost no routine appointment has time to explain clearly. Every single night, while you are asleep, your kidneys are doing some of the most demanding work in your entire body. Thousands of tiny filtering units are cleaning your blood, balancing fluids, regulating minerals, and clearing waste products that built up over the course of the day. In roughly 24 hours, about 200 liters of blood move through these two fist-sized organs. That enormous workload is one reason sleep is not only rest for your mind, it is also one of the most important recovery windows your kidneys get. And here is the part most people are never told. What you eat in the last hour or two before bed can have a direct effect on how smoothly that overnight recovery process goes. Most conversations about kidney health focus on restriction, less sodium, less phosphorus, less potassium. Those guidelines matter, especially if you already have reduced kidney function. But there is another side of the story that deserves just as much attention, especially for adults over 60. Instead of only asking what to remove, we should also ask what can be added safely to support the kidneys while they work through the night. Tonight, I want to walk you through 8 whole fruits that are widely recognized as kidney-friendly choices. These fruits provide antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, fiber, vitamins, and other restorative nutrients without placing the same mineral burden on the kidneys as many higher potassium fruits do. They are practical, easy to find, and especially well-suited to the evening hours. Stay with me all the way to fruit number 8, because that one comes with an important warning that almost no one mentions, and it could save you from making a very common mistake. Before we go through the list, let me take a moment to explain how the kidneys work, because once you understand the basic mechanics, the logic behind these fruits becomes much clearer. Your kidneys sit on either side of your spine, just below your rib cage. Their job is far bigger than most people realize. They filter waste from the blood, regulate water balance, manage sodium and potassium levels, help control blood pressure, activate vitamin D, and support red blood cell production through hormone signaling. Day after day, they keep the internal environment of your body stable. And at night, when the demands of movement, digestion, and daytime stress are reduced, the body shifts into a more restorative state. That makes the overnight period especially important. One mineral deserves special attention here: potassium. Potassium is essential for nerves, muscles, and especially the heart. But when kidney function declines, the kidneys may no longer remove excess potassium efficiently. That allows potassium to build up in the bloodstream, a condition called hyperkalemia. If levels climb too high, it can affect heart rhythm, muscle function, and overall health very quickly. That is why kidney-friendly eating can feel confusing. Many fruits and vegetables are full of protective antioxidants and anti-inflammatory plant compounds, but some of the most popular ones are also high in potassium. Bananas, oranges, kiwis, avocados, and tomatoes may sound healthy in a general sense, yet they are not always the best choice for someone with chronic kidney disease. The goal is not to avoid all produce. The goal is to choose the right produce. The 8 fruits in this guide help solve that problem. They offer useful nutritional benefits without delivering the potassium load that can become risky when kidney function is already compromised. Let's start with one of the most interesting evening fruits on the entire list. Fruit number 1 is tart cherries. Tart cherries do not look dramatic, but they may be one of the most unique bedtime foods for kidney support. They are low in potassium, low in sodium, and naturally rich in plant compounds that make them especially valuable at night. What sets tart cherries apart is their natural content of phytomelatonin, a plant-based form related to the melatonin your body uses to regulate the sleep-wake cycle. They also contain serotonin precursors, tryptophan, and a dense mix of polyphenols. That matters because kidney health is closely tied to sleep quality, and sleep quality is closely tied to blood pressure. During healthy sleep, blood pressure is supposed to drop. This normal overnight decline is sometimes called nocturnal dipping. When sleep is poor, fragmented, or too short, that drop becomes weaker or inconsistent. Blood pressure can remain elevated throughout the night. Over time, that means the tiny filtering vessels inside the kidneys are exposed to more pressure than they were designed to handle. Night after night, year after year, that extra mechanical stress can contribute to slow and silent kidney damage. This is why tart cherries are so interesting. They support kidney health indirectly through sleep. If a fruit helps you sleep better, and better sleep supports healthier nighttime blood pressure patterns, then that fruit may be helping protect the kidneys along a pathway most people never think about. For practical use, a reasonable evening portion is about half a cup to 1 cup of sour tart cherries, especially Montmorency cherries, or a small serving of unsweetened tart cherry juice, about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. The key point is this: choose tart cherries, not sweet cherries. They are not nutritionally identical, and the tart varieties are the ones most often discussed in relation to sleep support. Fruit number 2 is blueberries. Blueberries are one of the most studied fruits in nutrition research, and for good reason. They are packed with anthocyanins, the deep blue pigments that give the berries their color. Those anthocyanins have potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects, which matters because chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the quiet forces that can accelerate kidney decline over time. Blueberries are also a practical kidney-friendly fruit because they are relatively low in potassium, low in sodium, and low in phosphorus. In a modest serving, they deliver fiber, vitamin C, vitamin K, manganese, and a remarkable concentration of protective plant compounds. What makes blueberries especially useful is that they support more than just the kidneys. The same inflammatory pathways involved in kidney disease are often linked to cardiovascular disease. The heart and kidneys work in constant partnership, and when one is under stress, the other often is too. Blueberries fit beautifully into that cardio-renal picture because they support vascular health while also reducing oxidative stress. That makes them an excellent evening fruit for older adults who want something simple, gentle, and realistic enough to use consistently. A half-cup serving is enough to provide benefit without overdoing sugar or potassium. Fresh blueberries work well, but frozen and freeze-dried forms can also be convenient because much of the anthocyanin content is preserved. Fruit number 3 is strawberries. Well, strawberries are sweet, widely available, and one of the lowest potassium fruits you can buy in an ordinary grocery store. That makes them especially useful for people who are trying to protect kidney function without feeling like every food choice is a medical calculation. A small serving of strawberries provides vitamin C, manganese, folate, fiber, and a broad range of antioxidant compounds. Their potassium content is relatively low compared with many other fruits, which is why they are often considered one of the safer options even for people who have to be careful about their mineral intake. What makes strawberries particularly interesting is their relationship to antioxidant defense. They appear to support overall antioxidant capacity in a meaningful way, and some evidence suggests they may help support glutathione, which is one of the body's most important internal antioxidants. Glutathione plays a central role in how the body handles oxidative stress, and organs like the liver and kidneys depend on that system every day. There is also something very practical about strawberries at night. They feel light, refreshing, and satisfying without being heavy. Combined with a small portion of plain unsweetened yogurt, they can become an easy bedtime snack that feels comforting while still being gentle on blood sugar and kidney workload. A good portion is about half a cup of fresh or frozen strawberries. Frozen berries are often more affordable and still hold on to most of their nutritional value. Fruit number 4 is the apple. Apples may be the most underestimated kidney-friendly fruit on this list. They are common, affordable, and easy to ignore, precisely because they do not have the marketing appeal of a superfood, but they deserve attention. Whole apples are low in sodium, low in phosphorus, and relatively low in potassium. More important, people instinctively think of as healthy. Red and purple grapes are particularly interesting because their skins contain resveratrol and other flavonoids. These compounds have been studied for their antioxidant and vascular benefits, which matters because people with kidney disease often face increased cardiovascular risk as well. Grapes also offer a practical advantage that becomes important for people on fluid restriction. When frozen, grapes become slow to eat, cool, and satisfying. They can create the sensation of something refreshing and hydrating without adding the same fluid volume as a beverage. For someone who is watching fluid intake carefully, that can make a big difference in real life. The best way to use them is simple. Choose a small handful, roughly half a cup, preferably red or purple grapes rather than green, if you want the greatest flavonoid benefit. If fluid control is an issue, freeze them ahead of time and eat them slowly. Fruit number 6 is raspberries. Raspberries may be the highest fiber fruit on this list for their size, and that high fiber content matters more for kidney health than many people realize. A half-cup serving of raspberries delivers several grams of fiber, more than many other fruits in a similar portion. That fiber helps in 2 important ways. First, it feeds beneficial gut bacteria. When these bacteria ferment fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids and other compounds that support a healthier gut environment and help lower systemic inflammation. Since chronic inflammation contributes to kidney disease progression, supporting the gut can indirectly support the kidneys. Second, fiber helps slow digestion and the absorption of nutrients from the meal eaten alongside it. For people trying to manage phosphorus intake, that can be useful because processed foods often contain highly absorbable phosphate additives. A fiber-rich fruit after dinner may provide a mild buffering effect on that post-meal metabolic load. Raspberries also feel substantial without being heavy. They are tart enough to be interesting, sweet enough to be satisfying, and versatile enough to combine with other berries for a stronger nutritional effect. A practical serving is half a cup of fresh or frozen raspberries. They pair especially well with tart cherries if you want to build a more complete bedtime bowl that combines sleep support, fiber support, and antioxidant support. Fruit number 7 is pineapple. Pineapple surprises many people because tropical fruits are often assumed to be too sweet or too concentrated in minerals for kidney-conscious eating. But pineapple is often considered one of the more kidney-friendly tropical options when portion size is kept reasonable. Fresh pineapple is relatively lower in potassium than several other tropical fruits, which makes it more manageable for people who still want variety in their diet. What makes it particularly interesting is bromelain, a natural enzyme associated with pineapple, especially in fresh forms. Bromelain has been studied for anti-inflammatory effects, and because inflammation is a major theme in long-term kidney health, that makes pineapple worth considering. Pineapple also contains natural compounds that can fit nicely into an evening routine. It is sweet without being cloying, refreshing without being heavy, and easy to portion into a half-cup serving. The main caution is to choose fresh pineapple rather than canned when possible. Processing can reduce some of the activity associated with bromelain, and canned products often contain syrup or unnecessary added sugar. So if pineapple is on your list, keep it simple. Half a cup of fresh pineapple chunks in the evening is enough. Now we come to fruit number 8, cranberries, the one that needs the clearest warning. Cranberries have a long reputation for supporting urinary tract health. There is a reason that reputation exists, but there is also a lot of misunderstanding surrounding it. Cranberries contain compounds called proanthocyanidins, often shortened to PACs. These compounds are thought to help prevent certain bacteria, especially E. coli, from sticking to the lining of the urinary tract. That is why cranberry products are so often discussed in relation to recurrent urinary tract infections. But there are 2 important truths people need to hear. First, cranberries are not a treatment for an active urinary tract infection or kidney infection. They are not a substitute for medical care, antibiotics, or prompt evaluation if you have symptoms. Second, the benefit people are looking for is tied to the cranberry itself, not to the highly sweetened products sold under cranberry branding. This is the trap. Raw cranberries are extremely tart. Because of that, many commercial cranberry products are loaded with added sugar. Cranberry juice cocktail, sweetened dried cranberries, cranberry sauce, and many flavored cranberry beverages may contain enough sugar to undermine the very health goal the person is trying to support. In some cases, the added sugar becomes the dominant nutritional feature of the product. That matters for the kidneys because high intake of sugar-sweetened beverages is associated with poorer metabolic health and may contribute to kidney stress over time. So yes, cranberries can have value, but the form matters tremendously. If you want to include cranberries, choose unsweetened forms when possible. Pure unsweetened cranberry juice in small portions, raw cranberries, frozen cranberries, or unsweetened dried cranberries used sparingly. Avoid juice cocktails and heavily sweetened cranberry products that are marketed as healthy while delivering large amounts of sugar. There is one more caution. If you take warfarin or another anticoagulant, cranberry use is worth discussing with your pharmacist or prescribing clinician before making it a daily habit. That does not mean everyone must avoid cranberries. It means medication interactions should be taken seriously. Now let me show you how to turn some of the best options on this list into one simple evening routine. If you want a kidney-conscious bedtime bowl, start with the first 3 fruits: tart cherries, blueberries, and strawberries. Combine about half a cup of tart cherries, a small handful of blueberries, and 3 or 4 strawberries in a bowl. That gives you a practical mix of sleep-supportive compounds, anthocyanins, vitamin C, manganese, fiber, and overall antioxidant support in one easy snack. It is simple, affordable, and realistic. No supplement stack, no expensive powders, no complicated preparation, just whole fruit chosen with intention. If you want a small drink alongside it, a modest serving of unsweetened tart cherry juice can fit well. The point is not perfection, the point is consistency. And this brings us to something important, especially for adults over 60. The most sustainable health routines are usually not the most extreme ones. They are the ones that feel supportive rather than punishing. Many people approach kidney health as a long list of forbidden foods, and while some restrictions are necessary, that mindset alone can become exhausting. A routine built around safe, protective additions often lasts longer than one built only around fear. Imagine the difference psychologically. Instead of ending the day thinking about what you are no longer allowed to eat, you end the day with a calming ritual that actively supports your body. That shift matters. It improves adherence, it lowers stress, and it makes healthy eating feel more human. Of course, no general list replaces individualized medical advice. If you have advanced chronic kidney disease, are on dialysis, have a strict potassium or fluid restriction, take blood thinners, or have been given very specific instructions by your physician or renal dietitian, those recommendations come first. Lab values matter, medication lists matter, the stage of kidney disease matters. What is safe for one person is appropriate for another. Still, for many people, this list offers a useful starting point. Let me make this even more practical with a real-world example of how an evening fruit routine can change the way someone thinks about kidney care. Imagine a 71-year-old retired teacher named Margaret. She has mild chronic kidney disease, sleep that has slowly gotten lighter over the years, and a history of occasional urinary tract infections. Like many people, she became so worried about potassium that she gradually stopped eating almost all fruit. On paper, that seemed cautious. In reality, it meant she also removed many of the antioxidants, polyphenols, and fibers that could have supported her overall health. When she rebuilt her evening routine, she did not start with anything complicated. She began with tart cherries before bed a few nights a week, then added blueberries and strawberries on alternating nights, and used unsweetened cranberry products only carefully and selectively. What changed first was not a lab result, it was her routine. She slept a little better. She felt less deprived. She stopped ending the day with processed snacks that were technically low in potassium but offered very little nourishment. That is often how meaningful health change begins, not with perfection, but with replacing one unhelpful habit with one protective habit. There is also an important lesson here about portion size. A kidney-friendly fruit does not mean unlimited fruit. Even excellent foods work best in sensible amounts. Half a cup is a surprisingly effective portion for many of the berries on this list. One medium apple is enough. A small handful of grapes is enough. When people get into trouble nutritionally, It is often not because the food itself was wrong, but because the portion drifted far beyond what was intended. The kidneys benefit from steadiness, and the body generally responds best to moderate, repeatable choices. Timing matters too. Eating fruit 30 to 60 minutes before bed is different from eating a large dessert right before lying down. The goal is to create a calm, light, restorative snack window. That means keeping the routine simple, not pairing the fruit with salty processed foods, and not turning a kidney-friendly snack into a heavy late-night meal. The more peaceful the routine feels, the more likely it is to support sleep rather than disrupt it. One more point deserves emphasis. People often assume that if a food is natural, it must be safe for every kidney patient. That is not true. Potassium limits, fluid limits, blood sugar goals, stone history, dialysis status, and medication use all matter. A person with early-stage kidney disease may tolerate foods very differently from someone with advanced disease or someone on dialysis. That is why general guidance can be useful, but individualized guidance is still essential. Think of this list as a framework, not a prescription. Finally, read labels. The healthiest version of a fruit is usually the least altered one. Fresh, frozen, or unsweetened forms are almost always better than syrup-packed, heavily dried, or juice blend products. If the front of the package says natural but the ingredients list adds sugar, sodium, or phosphate additives, that product may work against the kidneys rather than for them. Simple foods are easier to trust. When in doubt, choose the form that looks most like the original fruit. Keep the portion modest, and let consistency do the heavy lifting. That approach may sound ordinary, but ordinary habits practiced nightly are often what protect health best over the long run. And if a food confuses you, bring the package or a photo to your next appointment and ask for guidance there. So here is your practical action plan. If sleep is your biggest issue, begin with tart cherries about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If inflammation and general cardiovascular support are your focus, add half a cup of blueberries. If you want one of the lowest potassium sweet fruits available, choose strawberries. If you need something more filling with blood sugar steadiness, reach for an apple with the peel on. If you want a refreshing snack that works even with a fluid restriction, use frozen red or purple grapes. If fiber and gut support are priorities, raspberries are one of the strongest options on the list. If you want a tropical alternative with anti-inflammatory potential, choose fresh pineapple. And if urinary tract support is part of your concern, use cranberries carefully and only in unsweetened forms, while remembering that they are supportive at best and not a treatment. The easiest way to begin is not to overhaul everything at once. Start with the 3-fruit bowl of tart cherries, blueberries, and strawberries for 3 evenings in a row. Notice your sleep. Notice how you feel when you wake up. Notice whether the routine feels easy enough to continue. Then add 1 more fruit on a different night and see what works best for you. That is how habits last. They begin with one simple action, repeated often enough to become familiar. Kidney health is shaped by big things like blood pressure, diabetes control, medications, and medical follow-up. But it is also shaped by small patterns repeated daily. The last snack of the night is one of those patterns. And when that snack is built from thoughtful, kidney-friendly choices, it can become a quiet form of support for an organ system that works for you every hour of every day. If this information was helpful, keep building on it. Learn your lab values. Ask your clinician what your potassium range means for you personally. Speak with a renal dietitian if one is available. And remember that protecting your kidneys is not only about avoiding harm. It is also about giving your body the right tools to recover. I'm Dr. Olivia Hart, and in the next video, we'll talk about 5 everyday drinks that may be pushing creatinine in the wrong direction, including one that is heavily marketed as a wellness beverage, but may not be as healthy as it looks.